Eileo guys, and welcome back. In today's video though, we do have the updated version of the Ultimate Evolution / Super Evolution tier list. Hopefully this is the definitive version, but obviously if they add in more Super Evolutions in the future, things will be changed here. But a quick disclosure right before we get into it, I've kind of changed the format with this one because of the past tier lists being either too long or not necessarily inaccurate, but I just now thought of it of how a lot of people may watch these videos on mobile and it's kind of hard to see the entire tier list, but the entire tier list is included in the description below for this video, and also the unlisted versions of the prior tier list of this nature, obviously of the Super / Ultimate Evolution tier list, will also be unlisted in this video below. So if you want to see the older ones, feel free to click on the link in the description of this video. But as of right now, I decided to take those off because with it being updated, it's just confusing to have multiple tier lists of the same tier list, but people may not know that this is the most accurate one here. So diving right into it, do remember that the mon closest to the letter in the upper left corner of each of the tiers is the highest mon of that tier. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. This is just one man's opinion. This is a tier list. This is opinion and not fact. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start this tier list off. Alright, so starting with the D tier, all of the Astromon here don't really benefit that greatly from a Super Evolution or Ultimate Evolution in most cases, which is why they're over here. But Wood Cupid, for example, is the worst Astromon in this tier. He is just the absolute worst, and this is due to his increase in stats, but even though he has this increase in stats, there's literally no usage for him whatsoever. Like, he still isn't useful, so that makes sense as to why he's at the bottom of the barrel here. Following in with that though, Ultimate Fire Odin is a good middle ground for this tier due to her increased stats paired with resistance down, but still ultimately bad in regards to an evolution, because once again, this is like Wood Cupid and his stat increased, but it doesn't really change how she operates in terms of investment. It doesn't really do anything for her. Both Super Fire Loki and Ultimate Wood Purse represent the top part of this tier due to them both already being useful sappers, but in terms of the bang for your buck, it really doesn't change anything. I mean, they're kind of rounded out in terms of their stats, so in terms of just raw damage and survivability, that is increased, but ultimately they're still going to do the same job here, so it's not like it's a bad idea to invest into them. But if you had a choice of, I have 30 fire stones for the Super Evolution, obviously I would probably pick something else first before I would pick Fire Loki. So basically, to sum up D tier, it's literally mons who have skills like Sap, they have Petrification, Soul Boon Red, if you're Wood Cupid, etc., which aren't really affected by stat increases, which is why they're D tier in the first place. Now moving on to the C tier, things aren't much better here sadly. These mons have a little bit more usage than the D tier, but let's start off with Wood Wildfang as the lowest mon of this tier. Wood Wildfang has Petrification and Sleep, a terrible duo, but her stat distribution and maybe some creativity, well, she could be useful somewhere, maybe, I guess? Other mons like Fire Purse, there's Fire Succubus, and Light Sea Star once again see a stat increase, but it's not enough to make them game changers, if that makes any sense. But to go ahead and end the C tier off is going to have to be Wood Valk, who is a perfect example of a mon that is neutral when it comes to her being either good or bad. Her stat increase with her self-sustained kit combined with damage reduction rounds her out to the top of the C tier. B tier and up is what I personally recommend for looking for mons that are actually worth it when it comes to either evolutions, by the way. Light Anu comes in at the bottom of B tier because his increased stat distribution is great, but he is still a little bit awkward in terms of use. And what I mean by that is, it's just that him being a light type and his 3 turns defense down makes him somewhat usable if you want to go that route. In the middle of the tier though is other hard-hitting mons such as Water Loki, there's Fire Leo, and also Fire Wildfang. They are both followed by Light and Dark Seiren, who have the absolute worst Super Evolution in the history of Super Evolutions. Their lack of updates but increased stats does absolutely nothing to make them any more relevant today than what they were 3 years ago. Smart study. Why? Why would you do this? Following that though, Wood Odin is sprinkled in between both Dark and Wood Arthur, and then there's also Water Valk followed by Water Arthur, and atop of the B tier is going to be Fire Valk. Going into a little bit more detail about all of these Astromon, Water Valk already hits like a butt cheek on a stick, so attack up is cool, but it doesn't really add anything into the mix. Water Arthur now has stun added to his kit, which paired up with his morale boost means he could be a decent crowd controller. In theory. Fire Valk, however, takes the cake here due to her naturally bulky stats paired with resistance down, making it basically a no-brainer. The only downside to her though is for her full potential, you need those books, which this tier list is kind of taking that into account too, that these mons are fully booked up, regardless of what situation that they are in. Now, we finally made it to the A tier. Things are looking quite a bit different in the high ranks. Wood Anu comes at the very bottom of this list due to his added stability as a wave clearer / nuker with his stat increase, followed by Wood Hana, who is used in literally every element of the Titans. Like literally, even Fire Titan, people are rocking Wood Hana. Now, you may be saying, Eileo, why is Wood Anu, who is a Nat 4, higher than a Nat 5 on this list? Due to each mon having their own specific job in MSL, this list isn't meant to say that Wood Anu is in fact better than Fire Purse. This list is just saying in terms of stat benefits for that particular mon, or in some cases skills that are added because of Ultimate Evolutions, this is where they would sit in terms of the investment. But remember, it's only one man's opinion. Following in after that though, Dark Cupid and Light Leo sit around the middle of this list, meaning you would get plenty of use out of them, but them by themselves aren't game changers. Coming in hot in front of them is going to be Water Purse, Water Odin, and Water Wildfang, basically the Water Gang. Water Purse is the passive healer queen, and HP aggression is a nice addition. Water Odin is the stun queen, and damage reduction helps retain survivability for her. Then we have Wet Wildfang, whom at this point is a beginner PvP staple mon due to her naturally tanky stats. She has a very great leader skill and a somewhat usable kit. In third place for the A tier is going to be Dark Yuki, a mon that is useful in multiple places such as PvP, clan versus clan, the dimensional rifts, you have golems, so pretty much everywhere besides the freaking story stages. That's how good that baby girl is. In second place is going to be Fire Arthur, who, with an already great stat distribution, can now counter his weakness, known as Water Astromon. Then, in the first place is going to be Dark Odin, whose smart study finally decided to lean towards the damage dealing side of things versus the tank side. With her ultimate evolution, she now becomes a very good wave clearer. Whether it's in PvE or PvP, her kit supports not only lowering the enemy's defense, but also damaging them with that extra boost from Predator and her naturally being a dark type. To go ahead and end this updated tier list though, we have made it to the greatest of the greats. It is the S tier, ladies and gentlemen. A place where all mons want to be, but in most cases will never reach. And also keep in mind that all of these mons are only one of two elements, and it's just a no-brainer at that fact. Dark Mona though is at the bottom of the S tier because, well, it's Dark Mona. One of the best wave clearers in the game, handed right to every single new player that plays this game long enough. Due to this and her being a dark type as well, her super evolution helps to keep her relevant until a player can replace her with Draka. Following her are both Light and Dark Hanas, who complement each element nicely. Light Boltwing has been added to the S tier too due to his use in Titans for not only setting up damage via his exposed weakness, but also because of his leader skill. Everyone, be sure to thank Light Boltwing for his services. Light Valk comes in ahead of him though due to her naturally tanky stats and Team Battle Rush that just makes her even more annoying. Light Odin then takes the lead due to her being very similar to Water Purse, but because of her light element, she only has to worry about dark mons. And with one of the highest HP pulls in the game, her HP shield is just icing on that cake. Then it's Dark Valk in front of Light Odin, as once again she comes out the box with an already very good stun, and while her seal is also nasty, she tops it off with an HP shield as well. And fun fact, she has 500 more HP than Light Odin, because why not? Light Purse is also one of the greatest crowd control mons due to her morale boost and shock combo. Paired up with her Purification ultimate, she's one monster that is obviously better off dead than stun. So make sure if you guys see Light Purse, just kill her. Don't crowd control her, don't stun her, don't petrify her, whatever. Kill that baby girl. Then, we've made it to the Faithful 3, you guys. Light Yuki, in terms of super evos, is without a doubt the best. Her double shocks when fully booked up are reliable, to say the least, and with that attack stat, she isn't a pushover. What makes her so great though is her accessibility. She is far easier to Evo 3, Super Evo, and book up than any Nat 5. In second place is Dark Purse, though you could make her first if you wanted to. Dark Purse is just a good old-fashioned bully. Her job is to clear waves, and boy, does she. Morale boost paired up with Predator on a Darkmon with a naturally high attack spells trouble. Now throwing Undying Volition in there, and congratulations, someone is going to be cursing. At the top of the S tier though, is going to be Light Arthur. Much like Light Yuki, Light Arthur is capable of some nasty crowd control with his 3-star skill, and much like Dark Purse, he is also capable of doing some nasty damage with his 5-star skill, though he has Hunter and not Predator. But the kicker to all of this is his puncture. Much like Dark Purse, if you are foolish enough to let Light Arthur get his puncture off, then you better go ahead and subscribe to the channel. But that about wraps things up here. Once again, remember this tier list is based on opinion, not fact. If you guys have any input, then feel free to leave those in the comments below. And if you prefer this format going forward in terms of tier lists, then also let me know. But yeah, you guys, that's pretty much it. See ya.